greatest fears in working on something like WTF Cinema is developing a reputation for just hating movies. And this is so far from the truth as to be absurd. I love movies. What you're seeing behind me is a very small sample of the almost 700 DVDs that I own, and that's not counting the constant movies I have coming in from Netflix. I love movies. But I think it's important to question the things that we love. And that's what WTF Cinema is about. It's about questioning films that don't make sense. Because so far too often, filmmakers take an easy shortcut here or there for a cheap laugh, or to make the story go the way they want it to, and that's cheating the audience. And I like to call them out on that. There's no such thing as a perfect movie, I'll admit that. Anything you can throw out is going to have flaws. But there are some really, really great movies out there. Some of the films like Princess Bride, Blues Brothers, Run Lola Run is one of the ones that almost everybody has seen. It's the foreign film that most people have seen. There's a whole bunch of just films that we can all pretty much agree, these are really good films. They're really enjoyable to watch. And what I would like to do now is try out this new segment where I introduce you to films that you've probably never heard of, but that are really, really good and worth seeing. Now, since this is the first episode of Films You Should Be Watching, I'm going to go ahead and do 2 films. Now, I don't think I'm normally going to do 2 films, but who knows? We'll see how this goes. The first film I would like to talk to you about is Mirrormask. Mirrormask was an independent film. It's absolutely spectacular. The story is very solid. And how could it not be? It is written by Neil Gaiman, who is arguably, and anything is arguably true, but in my opinion, one of the greatest writers alive today. The man works in a lot of different mediums, and he never fails to disappoint. And Mirrormask is no exception. I'm not going to walk you through the plot of Mirrormask, because the idea for this is for you to go and see it. But I will give you a general synopsis, and it's this. Imagine if they remade Labyrinth, but with today's technology, and they changed the story to be more like The Wizard of Oz. That's kind of what Mirrormask is like. It's a story of a young girl who grows up in the family circus and dreams of running away to join real life, and then her mother gets the famous movie illness that's never described or defined, but it's oh so scary, and she ends up in a magical fantasy land trying to get home. The plot itself, we've seen it, it's called The Wizard of Oz, alright? It's not that dissimilar, but it's the way it's told. And it's the characters, and it's the acting that are superb. But I think one of the things that stands out most about Mirrormask is the visual style of the film. I mean, just look at this poster. This poster gives you a really good idea of what the visual style of this film is. This is what movie posters should do. It shouldn't just be, you know, here's Owen Wilson, here's Ben Stiller. Look, he's arching his eyebrow. Isn't he kooky? It should give you a sense of what you're going to be in for. And this movie poster does that quite well. The girl is sitting there alone, surrounded by strange things, and she's not terrified, but she's definitely a little out of her element. It's spectacular. I can't recommend this film highly enough. Now, I will say this. The first 5 or 10 minutes are extremely odd, alright? Don't get turned off by that. Give it a chance. I mean, it starts with a girl having a war-like puppet show with her socks. It's very odd to start out with. Get through the first 10 minutes. You won't regret it. This film is absolutely spectacular. I used to work at an abused children's shelter. These are very troubled teens, but they're also a very good representation of today's youth in terms of short attention span, what they want to see. And I'll tell you this, the teenage boys and the teenage girls, and even the younger kids, loved this film when I showed it to them. They'd never heard of it, it didn't have any celebrities they knew about, but once they watched it, they loved it, and they kept asking me to bring it back. But as an adult, this film is equally as good. This is one of those rare examples where, yes, a kid can watch this film, but it's not written down for kids. It's just accessible to them should they want it. It is equally as accessible to adults. It's not a Who Framed Roger Rabbit thing. Another good movie, by the way. Who Framed Roger Rabbit is layered. When you watch it as a kid, you see one movie. When you watch it as an adult, you see another, which is a fantastic element. This is not that, though. This is just a story that is understandable no matter what age you are, and enjoyable at any age. I highly recommend Mirrormask. You should be watching it right now instead of watching me. For those of you who haven't turned me off to watch that movie, I would like to talk about another film called Night Watch. Now, Night Watch is a foreign film. It's a Russian film, and I can already hear some of you. But Jeff, I don't go to the movies to read. I don't like to read. Why would I want to go see subtitles? Her. Yes, that's really clever. I've never heard anybody say that they don't go to a movie to read before. You've really rocked my world. And that's fine. You don't want to watch a foreign film, don't watch a foreign film. I'm not here to force anything on you. But in this case, in this one movie, the subtitles are actually the best part of the film. It took me a while to figure out how to describe these subtitles to you. I have come up with the term organic subtitles. As you can see in some of the clips here, the subtitles interact with their environment. They're actually a part of the movie experience. They move around and they interact with characters and environments, and it's unlike anything I've ever seen. The subtitles are by far the coolest part of this film, and that's not to degrade the rest of the film. It's a good film with a good plot, good acting. It's a little dark. The plot is basically, throughout the course of human history, there have been others. These are the vampires and the wizards and the magical creatures. Now, the others have been separate from human society, and they've had their own war going on, because when you're an other, you have to decide if you're a dark other or a light other. You have to pledge allegiance to one or the other. And for the most part, both sides just keep an eye on the other side and make sure they keep their secret from humans. That's most of their job. From what little we're really given about the society, the implication is that the dark others abuse their powers for their own good as long as they get to keep it on the down low, and the light others only use their powers for the benefit of humanity in general. Which mean that the light others live in ridiculously low-rent housing and drive around beat-up cars, while the dark others are driving around in Ferraris and expensive business suits. They're wearing the suits, not driving around in the suits. And that's where our story begins. We follow one of the good guys. It's a really good movie. The story is pretty solid. The acting is really good. Once again, it's another film you've probably never heard of any of the actors, but it's a Russian film, so perhaps they're very popular in Russia, these actors, I don't know. But the subtitles, you gotta watch it for the subtitles. Now, I will say this as a warning. Do not get this film on Blu-ray. I like Blu-ray. I can't afford to convert my entire library of films to Blu-ray. I would like to, but I have converted some of them. The ones that are visually impressive. Mirrormask was the first Blu-ray disc I got, and watching that in Blu-ray is an experience. And Night Watch would be a great experience to have in Blu-ray because the film is very visually interesting. It's very unlike anything you've seen. But the Blu-ray version, for some reason that I have yet to figure out, has the normal subtitles. The boring, ordinary, run-of-the-mill subtitles. It doesn't have these fantastic organic subtitles. And it's really a letdown. The movie would be okay without the organic subtitles. It would be. It would be an okay film. But it wouldn't be on this show. It wouldn't be a film you should be watching right now. It wouldn't be a hidden gem that I'm trying to bring to you. It would be okay. The subtitles bring it up so many notches above, because it's amazing to see somebody put so much time and effort into an element of the film that wouldn't matter to its native country. They're not watching these subtitles in Russia. We get them over here, and somebody made sure to craft them so that it was an experience unlike any foreign film watching experience you've ever had. Now, there is a sequel to Night Watch. It's called Day Watch. And the subtitles are, again, organic, and it's a good film. I liked it. But the first one really is spectacular. And I would be okay with there not being a sequel. Anyway, go and watch Mirrormask. Go and watch Night Watch. And then come back, because I've got a lot more movies that you've never heard of that I think you would really enjoy. Never let it be said that I hate movies. I love movies. Even bad ones, by the way. Toxic Avenger. I love Toxic Avenger. I like trauma movies, which are all bad. All of them. Horrible. Because they're consistent. With it, when you put a trauma movie in your DVD player, you know exactly what you're going to get. You're going to get bad acting, a ridiculous plot, unfunny jokes, and boobs. Gratuitous boobs. And when you're in the mood for stuff that isn't funny and has boobs, you go for trauma. It never fails to disappoint. And shockingly, there actually is one trauma movie that's halfway decent. Tromeo and Juliet. In case you felt like starting a trauma adventure. I like all movies to one extent or another. Some are just better than others. And there's no denying that. And once again, no such thing as a perfect movie. But when you show up here, I'm going to tell you the ones I think come closest. Thanks for watching.